Hello YouTubers, Dave with Smize Flies. Today's how-to, or whatever you may want to call it, is going to be on, I'm going to pull the bead back a little, let it sit back there. I'm going to be doing a Choronomid today. And I'm going to lay down a little bit of a thread bed. I'm not going to get too serious with it because I got to slide that bead back up. So I'm just going to go back just a little bit with it. And then we're going to get ready to tie in the gills, which I think these things have a funny gill. These are cool flies. These Choronomids do very, very well on the trout, which, at least for now, I can't say in the future, but at least for now, I'll be bringing you nothing but trout patterns because that's where I'm at. I stay in my own lane. I'm not trying to do bass flies or any real big flies and stuff like that. There's other people that do that you can find. So if you guys are into bass fishing and stuff like that, you're probably not going to find anything that interests you here. I decided to stick with what I know is the best way to put it. I've been a trout fisherman, trout fly fisherman for a lot of years, and I tied for production for a couple shops, still do, for many years. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth, so that's where I'm just going to stay. I enjoy it. And that's usually half the battle right there. As long as you enjoy what you're doing, just keep doing it. Don't give up on your passions, All right, I'm going to unwrap that. I don't like what it's trying to do to me. Usually you can pull that right through, but for some reason today it wanted to slide back. And I have a thread bed down, so it should not be doing that. I probably should use a little wax. That might be the issue, but I don't know. We'll find out here in a minute. I'm going to do the best I can do with that right there, and I'm just going to wrap it back a couple wraps. And rather than trying to pull it through, I'm just going to snip it off up here. You don't want to snip it off too far. You want a little bit sticking out over the front for sure. This is supposed to imitate the gills, which I think it's funny. The gills on this, it's just a weird place to have them, I think, but that's just my opinion. And you know what they say about opinions, right? We all have one and they all stink. Alright, so I'm going to wrap back a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to put a half hitch in, if it'll let me do it without screwing up my gills, which it did. And that gives me the opportunity to snip off, and I'll tie back in. Slide the bead up where it needs to go. Going to be a little bit of work to get it where I want it, but I'll get it there. There it is, just like that. And that still might be a little bit too much up front for the gills. You only need a little teeny tiny bit. But anyhow, I'm back in again. Tied back in. Got the tag end out. And I believe that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to snip this just a little bit more. This stuff is very, very hard to cut. This is that straight dub from old Danny DeCare. If you guys are interested in getting yourself some of that, let me, look up Danny DeCare on TikTok here. You can find him on Facebook as well. It's this stuff. And there's so many uses. You can make bait fish with it. You can use it for parachutes on your dry flies. You can use it for shucks, for your emergers, and any other creative, crazy stuff you can think of. But this stuff is very strong. I'm just going to grab a little teeny thin amount like this. And I'm going to pull it with everything I got. You can't break that. You just can't. This stuff is pretty awesome. But anyhow, that's not why we're here. We are here to finish a fly. And on this one, I'm going to, in particular, I need to spin that because my thread's starting to separate just a little bit on me. And it's going to continue to do that for another second or two, and then it's going to quit. There we go. Now we're in. Now we're right. Okay, so I want to build the body up a little bit on this one because I just want a little bit of thickness in the body, and what I'm going to be covering it with doesn't make, it's not going to be very thick. So I'm going to continue to wrap up and down. You guys will probably get bored with me on that one, but I apologize. Again, this is going to be called the Choronomid, the Choronomid, Choronomid. A lot of people look at these and think they're brassies. They think they're some kind of a midge. They think they're a whole bunch of different things. And they do kind of imitate a lot of things. However, they are just a Choronomid. And they are fish catching machines. Sometimes when you've got the finicky fish and nothing else is working, you break one of these out and you start getting strikes. And I made sure I watched a video before I come on here to do this for you guys to make sure I'm doing things right and giving the right information. I don't want to come in here and misinform you guys. That's not a good step to make at all. But anyway, I'm still building up the body. Sooner or later, I'm going to get to a point where I'm happy with it. I think this will be my last wrap forward with this anyway, because I have to tie stuff back in and it'll build up a little bit more. And I don't want to overbuild the body. I don't want to make it look too thick. I'm sure the trout wouldn't mind a nice, thick, hearty-looking meal, but okay. So now we're at this point. And a Choronomid, I'm going to be doing an orange-colored one. And I have this stuff here. This is called Semperfli's. This is Perdigon body from Semperfli, which is really beautiful. I don't know if you guys can really see the color of that. It's a really pretty flat pattern stuff. It's really nice. And I don't need anywhere near the amount that I just pulled out, but it just unspun on me, so I'm going to go with it. One thing I do is I do end up wasting more material than I should, because I always grab more than less, because you never know, especially on one of these kind of patterns, I might need to wrap that twice, maybe 3 times to get the thickness I want. But anyhow, I'm going to tie this in right behind the eye, or should I say the bead in this case, and I'll leave a little bit sticking over and snip it out. But at least I'll know that I'm getting right up to the bead. Which, why that wants to wrap with me, I'll never know. So we're going to unwrap it. This stuff here, I'm going to tell you, you don't want to stretch it too far, or it'll start like curling up on you. It's kind of like making a Christmas wreath bow. You know that material that you grab, and if you pull it, you stretch it, it starts to curl? Yeah, that's what this does. So now I'm going to wrap this back nice and slow, making sure that my wraps are touching each other. Not that it's going to really matter, because I'm going to be covering it, but nonetheless, I just like to, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little too finicky about stuff. I don't know. But this is going to be a nice pattern for you guys to practice on. They're not very hard to tie at all. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. So hopefully you guys will try one of these and get out on the water with it. And if you guys get out there and you catch some fish, please send me some pictures. I'm David Smith over on Facebook, which you can send pictures there. TikTok doesn't allow us to. YouTube, I'm not sure if you can send pictures here on YouTube. I know TikTok won't let you. So that's why I give, anyhow, it's David Smith on Facebook. I have a really pretty, I think it's still the purple fly, a purple dry fly as my profile picture. Not certain. I may have put the waxworm in there. I switch it up a lot, just to try to keep things as fresh as possible. So I'm going to wrap the whole way back up front. Again, still building that body up. And this stuff here will break right off. Like that. Perfect. I said that about the stuff the other day and it wouldn't break off for me. I felt like a dork. A dookie dork. Whatever that means. Anyhow, there we go. There's that. Still have a little bit of a tag end sticking up, but I will tie that down to make sure it's not a problem. And I'm going to come back to about halfway and then come forward again, building up just a tiny bit of a taper. These are one of the few flies that I don't believe really have a taper. Okay, so I got one more thing to tie in. A lot of these Perdigons are going to have two different sets of ribs. Usually, you're using 2 different colors for the ribs. However, today I think I'm just going to be doing the one. And it's going to be barely noticeable to you, to the naked eye, because I'm using copper wire, which is pretty much orange itself, but This is what I chose to do today. Today was one of the very few days that I actually got my patterns out and my materials out and got ready to tie. And I don't know, in the future here, I might be starting to offer recipes. Like before I start tying for you guys, I'll show you everything I'm going to use, or as I go step by step, I'll show you what I'm using. But I pretty much do that now. I just, I show you everything I'm using to give you guys an idea. As far as the first material I tied in, which was Pertagon body, you don't have to use that. You can use like a tinsel. Semperfli makes a micro glint tinsel that's really pretty. I'll show you some of that here in a second. Love the colors that Semperfli gets out of stuff. Their process of coloring is I don't know, right up there top notch as far as I'm concerned. I want to make sure that I'm getting this wrapped in as well as I can get it wrapped in. There it is. Okay. Let's see. Where's my Pertagon body? I know I have some somewhere. Here we go. I mean micro glint. This is the micro glint. Look how beautiful those colors are in that. It's just amazing the coloring process that they do. I guess it's the dyeing process. I'm certain I have some more around here. I just don't happen to see it right now. I've got like 300 different spools of threads and tinsels and yada, yada, yada. Here's some tinsel. This is what I mean. You could use this for your body too. But there's so many different colors of it all. It's going to have to be completely up to you. Like your home waters may be different than my home waters as far as what you're going to want to use and stuff like that. I think I am going to tie in a second set of ribs with this one too, just to stick with the pattern the way it should be, which they pretty much. Sorry about that, guys. They pretty much they go right beside each other. The ribs, you tie one and then tie another one right up against it as best you can. And it does make a difference. I don't know why, but it does. Nevertheless, I'm going to use this. This is called, it's a UTC product. I think they call this Hurl. Yeah, it is. It's chenille. Hurl chenille is what that's called. Right there it is, so you can see. Hold on, I'll bring it right back up. I want to put this on to keep my thing from unspooling on me. These little rubber things that go around and hold your material, your thread, whatever it may be, still, they're epic. Anyhow, right there it is. Probably going to be inverted for you, but it is chenille. It's Hurl chenille. And this is chartreuse. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie this in as well. This video may end up being just a little bit longer than the usual video, because it's definitely more of an advanced fly for me. Well, not advanced. It's not hard to tie. It's just that there's a lot going on, is really what it comes down to. I've only tied a few of these in my life. That's why I had to go watch a video. But what you're going to be noticing over the next few weeks is I'm going to be tying stuff for early season fly fishing, because we're coming up on spring, and that I don't know. I just feel like it's important to be tying stuff for the early season in case you guys are going to get out in the water, which I'm sure you are. This will just give you a little bit of an idea of an arsenal to take with you. Like yesterday, I did a brassy, which very, very, very productive fly in the early season, as will this be. And I'm just going to keep going that way. Blue-winged olives are really good in the early season too, because if there's a sunny day where it's even slightly warm out, not like hot, like we're talking in upper 40s, 50s, blue-winged olives are going to hatch pretty much anywhere. They do it all year long. I've seen them hatching clear into late fall, and I've seen them hatching as early as soon as the ice and everything, as soon as we have our melt off. I mean, it's insane. They're a very cool pattern to have. So they basically, in the early season, I would be using emergers. I wouldn't be going for dries right away. I would be using emergers and nymphs during the early season. And as the temperature goes up, I would start having emergers and dries. Matter of fact, I tie a tandem. I'll use a dry fly with a emerger dropper and do very well. I like tying tandems in. It's nice. You don't really need an indicator, a strike indicator, if you do it that way, because you can watch your fly on top. Sometimes people do a hopper dropper, which is basically a grasshopper on top and whatever you want to use in the bottom. It all works together. It all comes together. Trust me, it does. All right, I'm going to stop right there. First thing I want to wrap in. I've got that stuff sticking to me. I don't have glue in my hands. That's crazy. All right, now pull this out around. Oh no, don't wrap into my bobbin, please. That'll cause a whole mess I don't even want to deal with right now. So we're going to get rid of that for now. And I'm going to start wrapping this up ever so. I'm going to be very patient with it because, you know, I want these wraps to be touching the whole way up through. And they're going to slide on you. I can tell you that right now. Which I may put an end to that here in a second. If it keeps slipping and sliding like that, I'm just going to throw some glue down. Yeah, I'm going to do it already. I can't. It's not doing what I want it to do. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now. I have a lot of stuff back in my room, and one of the things that's back there is my head cement. So we're going to go without for a little bit. And I can tell you, when you're wrapping this stuff, it's nice to have a rotary vise. It'll make your life a whole lot easier than doing this, but, you know, I chose my Regal. I'm stuck on this Regal. I have a Peak rotary vise, which I probably would have had this wrapped already if I had that. But I don't know. I can't seem to put the Peak down. This is from the late 70s. Well, I can't say that. It's just from the 70s. I have this one and I have another one just exactly like it. And it's my favorite vise I've used yet. You know, I liked my Peak. There's not a darn thing wrong with the Peak. As a matter of fact, if you're just starting out, it's got a nice price. The Peak and the Renzetti Traveler are the two that are right around $230, which that may sound expensive to some people, but once you start looking around at some of the vices that go anywhere from $400 to $1,000, they don't sound so expensive then, do they? But yeah, they're a very good vise. The rotary function on the Peak vise, on the Peak rotary is just, I don't know, man. It works real smooth. You can adjust the tension for it. You can buy a little thing called the D-arm, which instead of it just coming, when you go to wrap it, instead of the handle going straight down and not having a little handle sticking off the wrap, you can buy the D-arm and slide it on over there. And it has a, how do I want to explain it? If you grab the handle and go to start wrapping, it spins. You don't have to worry about, like while you're, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, the D-arm for the Peak rotary is essential. And it's only like $20. And then another thing that's great for your Peak rotary would be the material clip. They're like $15. You get an extra spring with it. Peak has really done a well thought out vise, and they seem to hit people with a tough budget. You know, you can still get a damn nice tough vise out of a Peak for a price that just about anyone can afford. You can save your money for a little bit to get it, or you probably have it in the bank. It's, you know, it depends. In today's world with the price of groceries and everything, it's tough, but that's a good vise for the price range, as is the Traveler. I've never used a Renzetti Traveler, so I can't speak much on that. I'm not even going to try to, but I have buddies that use them that really like them. One of them is Owen over there at ONR Flies. His aunt ended up picking him one for his birthday a couple years back, and he really likes it. Okay, so I got the body done. That's that. Yeah, that's the, what's that stuff called again? Dadgummit. Perdigon body. Which a Perdigon in its own right is a lot like a Choronomid, but it's not a Choronomid. And these you want to have loose wraps, you know, meaning you want them to be spaced, because these are acting like a rib. Not acting like a rib, they are the rib of the fly. And I like to get my distance between wraps almost perfectly spot on. And it's kind of hard to see where they are simply because the body and the wire are so close in color. But see, I'm the kind of guy that likes that. I like to have, it just looks more natural to me, and it makes, I don't know, maybe I'm a little different than most people. As a matter of fact, I know I am. I choose to be, because what used to work for me is what I try to use. So I don't want to come on here and act like a hypocrite and tie a fly for you that I've never tied onto my line. Like, oh yeah, these work so good, you know. Well, I don't know that. If I don't know, I'm not going to tie it. It's just that simple. I really worry about giving you the right information. So now what you want to do is you want to bring what's called the second rib up through and get it as close to the wraps as you can to where you were. All right, this is going to be funky. There we go. Now we got it fixed. And with this being a little bit thicker, it's okay if you go like every second wrap of your wire. Just as long as you get your wraps even. That's really the most important part, to be honest with you. That keeps slipping back on me. I'm going to stop right there and wrap that in. Now, a lot of tires maybe would have used an orange or a red thread just to have that hot spot up behind the bead. I had black ready to go, so that's what I chose to use. I probably should have switched my thread out, but I didn't. I apologize for that. But it is a good idea to use a brighter color. It'll give you a little bit of a, like I said, a hot spot. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this in pretty tight. And then I'm going to pull back. And it's whip finish time. These beads are so darn small. I tried to put them on. I think I lost 4 beads trying to get one on. It was crazy. It's a good thing I didn't record myself trying to put the bead on, because you would have heard expletives and stuff, and we don't need that on YouTube. All right, so there's the whip finish. All right. And I'm going to take this one step further. And I think I am anyway. I definitely am. I just have to turn some things around towards me here. I want my... 1 second, y'all. I got to back out for a second because I have to read some stuff. Okay. Where is everything? Where is it? There's my resin. There's my light. Just what I needed. I keep a little Tupperware box with stuff that I move back and forth between tying in the bedroom and tying here. I tie in both spots because I have my condition. You know, I no legs for one. I lost my legs from diabetes, and then I had a bunch of pressure wounds. And sitting up like this isn't always the best thing for me to do, so I tie in bed a lot. Now, yes, I'm sitting up in there, of course. But the difference is I'm on a mattress that's it's basically an offloading kind of mattress that prevents pressure wounds and things of that nature. So I have to really watch what I'm doing. And that's enough about that. We're getting a little personal here. And I'm going to go ahead and cure that. And then I'm going to lay another little bit down. All this is going to do is it's going to save my... I know for a fact that putting this resin on there is going to make the fly, it'll make it last longer. It'll be able to take way more bites, getting stuck on rocks and stuff like that. It won't hurt it as much as it would if you didn't do it. So there's 2 coats, and I'm going to go with yet one more, except this time I'm going to be a little bit pickier. And I'm going to try to drop it right where I need it. I don't want it to start running down to the bottom. Gravity will screw me up. But I like what I'm seeing right there. So I can still turn this vise, but it's not like it's a rotary. I mean, it is kind of a rotary, but you have to turn it with your hand. You don't have a crank to do it like a regular rotary. There we go. I really like the way that one looks. I know that one's going to catch fish. Those little hairs that are on that chenille, when it goes against the water when it's coming through, are going to cause that capillary action, which means bubbles are going to come off of it, and the fish are going to be like, oh, that's real, it's breathing. Let's go hit it. So anyway, there it is today. Let me get it in the tweezers like I like to do for y'all and show it to you. up close and personal. Wow, are you going to let me squeeze on there or what? I guess not. So we'll go to these ones. Damn, that was crazy. There we go. That, my friends, is a Choronomid. I'll even use the black background just because it's going to pop it out a little bit better. Now, as long as we can get it to focus, you can get a good look at it. This white stuff up here, that's your gills, and they're going to cause bubbles too, making the fish think it's real, so therefore striking. But anyhow, that is the pattern of the day, the Choronomid. Thank you guys for viewing. Appreciate you. Please give me a sub. The more subs I get, the quicker I can start going live with you guys. Have a good day. God bless.